There is a fundamental lie you have been told about your emotions, that you should control them, master them, suppress them. This is the advice of the fragile. The truly powerful man does not control the storm. He becomes the anchor. In this video, we are not going to recite Marcus Aurelius. We are going to install a new psychological operating system. We are going to build your Stoic anchor, the one mental framework that allows you to remain unshakable when the world and your own mind descends into chaos. This is not about feeling less. It's about understanding more. It is a perspective shift available only to those willing to look deeper than the surface-level advice that keeps the masses weak and reactive. This is the knowledge that separates the man who is a victim of his circumstances from the man who architects his own reality. Before we begin, write one word in the comments that describes the chaos you feel most often. Let's see how common these storms truly are. Let's be clear about the battlefield. The modern world is engineered for your distraction and emotional hijack. Notifications, 24-hour news cycles, social pressures, the constant comparison. It is a relentless assault on your focus and your peace. This environment breeds a specific kind of internal chaos. It's that feeling of being pulled in 1,000 directions, but moving in none. It's the low-grade anxiety that hums beneath the surface of your day. It's the flash of anger at a minor inconvenience, the wave of doubt when you face a challenge. Most men believe this is a personal failing, a weakness in their character. They believe they lack discipline. The truth is, your hardware is fine. Your software is outdated. You are running an operating system designed for a simpler world, and it is crashing under the weight of modern complexity. The Stoic anchor is not about adding more effort. It is about a fundamental software upgrade. It is about installing a new protocol for processing reality, a protocol that makes you impervious to the noise. The first step in building your anchor is understanding the nature of the storm. The foundation of our work begins with deconstructing the very idea of chaos. What you call emotional chaos is rarely the event itself. It is the story you tell yourself about the event. It is your judgment, your fear, your projection layered on top of a neutral fact. A missed promotion is a neutral fact. The story of "I am a failure" is the chaos. A critical comment is a neutral fact. The story of "I am not respected" is the chaos. The Stoics understood this 2,000 years ago, and it is more relevant today than ever. The masses react to their stories. The elite man learns to see the facts. This distinction is not academic. It is the line between being a slave to your emotions and being the master of your mind. Before you can anchor yourself, you must first see the water for what it is, and separate it from the monsters you imagine swimming within it. This leads us to the unshakable first principle of Stoic thought, the core of your new operating system. It is called the dichotomy of control. It is brutally simple, and its implications are profound. In any situation, there are things you can control and things you cannot. That's it. You cannot control the economy, the weather, what other people think of you, or the traffic. You can control your thoughts, your judgments, your responses, and your actions. 99% of human anxiety comes from a simple, tragic error, trying to control the uncontrollable. Think of the immense energy you waste worrying about things far outside your influence. It's like trying to command the tide. The Stoic man doesn't waste a single joule of energy on the uncontrollable. He focuses his entire will, his entire power on his own domain, his inner world. This is not passive. It is the ultimate strategic allocation of your most precious resource, your attention and your energy. Let's talk about the tyranny of impressions. Your mind is constantly bombarded with them. An impression is the first, raw, automatic thought or feeling you have about an event. Someone cuts you off in traffic. The impression is, that person is a disrespectful idiot. Your boss sends a one-word email. The impression is, I am in trouble. These impressions are not reality. They are primitive, pre-programmed reflexes, and they are the source of almost all your emotional disturbance. The untrained mind accepts these first impressions as truth. It immediately assents to them, and the emotional cascade begins. Anger, fear, anxiety. The entire chaotic storm is born from an unexamined first thought. The man building his stoic anchor learns to see these impressions for what they are. Proposals, not facts. They are suggestions from your primal brain. You, the CEO of your mind, have the final say on whether to accept or reject them. This is where your power truly lies. The great Stoic philosopher Epictetus said it best. Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them. This is the key that unlocks everything. It is not the event that causes your suffering. It is your judgment about the event. This is a radical shift in responsibility. It moves you from the position of a victim to the position of a creator. Nothing external has the power to harm your inner state unless you grant it permission. Traffic cannot make you angry. It is your judgment that traffic should be clear, and that this delay is an injustice that creates the anger. The event is neutral. Your interpretation is the poison or the medicine. The moment you truly internalize this, the world changes. You realize that your emotional stability is not at the mercy of external events. It is a product of your internal discipline. This is the first, heavy, foundational block of your inner citadel. Now we begin to forge the chain that connects you to your anchor. This is the first of 3 Stoic disciplines, the discipline of perception. It is the practice of seeing things objectively as they are without the emotional narrative. It's about stripping events down to their bare, factual components. This is not about being a robot, it is about being a surgeon. You must dissect reality with precision, separating the factual tissue from the cancerous tumour of your emotional judgment. When you face a setback, the untrained mind sees disaster. The Stoic in training forces himself to see the facts. I attempted X, the result was Y, which was not my desired outcome. Now I must attempt Z. This practice drains the emotional charge from a situation, allowing you to respond with logic and strategy, not with panic and despair. It is a muscle that must be trained every single day, with every minor frustration. To cultivate this discipline, you must adopt what we will call the objective lens. Imagine you are a camera recording events without commentary. Your business partner is late for a meeting. The camera records. The agreed upon time was 9 a.m. The current time is 9:15 a.m. My partner is not here. The untrained mind records. He doesn't respect my time. This project is doomed. He is unreliable. See the difference. One is a set of verifiable facts. The other is a self-destructive story. Applying the objective lens is an active process. You must catch yourself in the act of storytelling and consciously rewind. Ask yourself, what actually happened here? What are the bare facts, stripped of my interpretation and emotion? This simple question, asked consistently, is one of the most powerful mental tools you can possess. It is the circuit breaker for emotional chaos. It stops the storm before it even begins. Let's make this practical. Here is an exercise for you to begin today. For the next 24 hours, carry a small notebook or use a note on your phone. Whenever you feel a strong negative emotion, anger, frustration, anxiety, stop. Write down 2 things. First, the event. Describe what happened in the most objective, factual terms possible, as if you were a security camera, no interpretation. Second, the story. Write down the automatic interpretation and the judgments you made about the event. He disrespected me. This is going to ruin my day. I can't handle this. By simply separating these 2, you create a space. In that space between the event and your story lies your freedom. That space is where the Stoic man lives. He sees the event, he sees the story his mind proposes, and he consciously chooses a more rational, more effective response. This is not suppression. This is conscious navigation. One of the most potent applications of the objective lens is the cultivation of the power of the pause. When an event happens, your primitive brain wants an instant reaction. The pause is your veto power. It is a moment of deliberate inaction. Someone insults you. Instead of instantly firing back, you pause. You breathe. You observe the initial flash of anger, the impression. You see it for what it is, a proposal. In that 1 to 2 second pause, you can ask the crucial questions. Is this in my control? Does reacting emotionally serve my long-term goal? What is the most rational, strategic response here? The pause is the gap between stimulus and response. Viktor Frankl said that in this gap lies our growth and our freedom. For the Stoic, this gap is not an accident. It is a cultivated sanctuary. It is the moment you take the helm from your emotional autopilot and engage your rational mind. Master the pause and you master your reactions. Now we add weight to the anchor. This might sound counterintuitive. The second Stoic discipline we will install is rooted in what some might call pessimism. But it is not pessimism. It is strategic preparation. The Stoics called it premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. It is the practice of regularly and calmly visualizing the worst-case scenarios in your life. What if you lose your job? What if you face a health crisis? What if a relationship ends? The untrained mind runs from these thoughts. It seeks comfort in fragile optimism. This is a mistake. By avoiding these thoughts, you give them immense power over you. They become terrifying monsters lurking in the shadows of your subconscious. The Stoic man does the opposite. He shines a bright light on them. He walks towards them. He sits with them. He dissects them. Think of premeditatio malorum as an emotional fire drill. A fire drill doesn't mean you want the building to burn down. It means you are so prepared that if it does, you will not panic. You will know exactly where the exits are. By visualizing losing your job, you can begin to think, okay, what would I actually do? I would update my resume, I would contact my network, I would cut my expenses. Suddenly, the terrifying, vague monster of losing my job becomes a concrete problem with a set of actionable steps. You have rehearsed for this hardship. You have stripped it of its most potent weapon, the element of surprise. When you have already imagined the worst and planned for it, reality rarely has the power to break you. Most of what we fear is far more terrifying in our imagination than it would be in reality. This practice proves that to you. The core function of this strategic pessimism is to strip fear of its power. Fear thrives on the unknown. By making the worst-case scenario a known quantity, you neutralize it. You've looked it in the eye. This practice also breeds immense gratitude. When you spend 5 minutes in the morning contemplating what it would be like to lose your health, you spend the rest of the day profoundly grateful for the simple ability to walk, to breathe, to see. When you contemplate the loss of a loved one, you are far more likely to treat them with kindness and presence today. This is not about morbidly dwelling on the negative. It is about using the imagined negative to enhance your appreciation for the actual positive. It anchors you in the present moment and vaccinates you against the inevitable shocks and setbacks of life. You build a resilience that is not dependent on things always going well. This practice transforms your internal dialogue. The anxious mind is constantly asking, what if this terrible thing happens? It is a question that leads to a spiral of fear and inaction. The Stoic mind, trained by premeditatio malorum, changes the question. It asks, and if this terrible thing happens? The first question is a passive cry of a victim. The second is an active prompt for a strategist. And if I lose the client? Then I will focus my energy on acquiring 3 new ones. And if I get sick? Then I will focus on what I can do to recover and lean on my support system. This simple shift from what if to and if moves you from a state of powerless worry to a state of empowered planning. You are no longer just hoping for the best. You are prepared for the worst. This is the mindset of a man who cannot be easily broken. We have forged the chain of perception. We have added the weight of preparation. Now, we must learn how to set the anchor. This is the third and most crucial discipline, the discipline of assent. To assent means to agree, to accept something as true. As we discussed, your mind is constantly flooded with impressions. The discipline of assent is about consciously and deliberately choosing which impressions you will agree with. The untrained mind is a democracy where every thought, no matter how irrational or destructive, gets a vote. The Stoic mind is a monarchy. You are the king. You have absolute veto power over which thoughts are allowed to become beliefs and which are exiled. This is the most difficult discipline because it requires constant vigilance. It is the moment-to-moment work of standing guard at the gates of your mind. You must become the mind's gatekeeper. Imagine every impression that arises. She thinks I'm an idiot. I'm going to fail this presentation. My life is going nowhere. As a visitor arriving at the gate of your inner citadel, your job as the gatekeeper is to stop them and ask for their credentials. You must challenge them. You, the thought that I am going to fail. On what evidence do you base this claim? Is this a productive belief? Does assenting to you serve my ultimate purpose? Most of our negative, automatic thoughts are liars. They are bullies who have been allowed to roam free in our minds for years. The discipline of assent is the act of finally standing up to them. You don't have to fight them or suppress them. You simply have to refuse to believe them. You withhold your assent. You can observe the thought, there is the thought that I might fail, without agreeing with it. Challenging your automatic thoughts is a skill. Let's say the thought, I am not good enough, appears. Do not try to wrestle it into submission. Instead, cross-examine it like a lawyer. Not good enough for what, specifically? According to what standard? What evidence do I have to the contrary? Is there a more rational, less emotionally charged way to view this situation? Often, just putting the thought on trial like this is enough to make it wither under the scrutiny of logic. You are replacing an automatic emotional reaction with a deliberate cognitive evaluation. You are refusing to assent to the initial, flawed impression and instead choosing to assent to a more reasoned, more constructive perspective. This is the essence of cognitive behavioral therapy, a modern psychological practice that the Stoics were pioneering 2 millennia ago. It is the practice of consciously choosing your beliefs. The goal is to give your assent only to reason, not to raw emotion. Your initial flash of anger is an impression. You do not assent to it. Instead, you assent to a reasoned judgment. This person's action was inconvenient, but getting angry will only make my own state worse and solve nothing. Your initial wave of anxiety is an impression. You do not assent to it. Instead, you assent to a reasoned judgment. I am feeling the sensation of anxiety. This is a signal to prepare. What is the next logical step I can take? This is the height of emotional control. It is not about not feeling. You will always feel the initial impression. The control comes from what you do next. You control your assent. You choose to align yourself with your rational, higher mind, not your reactive, primitive brain. This choice, made over and over, is what builds an unbreakable character. When you consistently practice these 3 disciplines, perception, preparation, and assent, you begin to build what the Stoics called the inner citadel. This is the ultimate goal. The inner citadel is a fortress within your own mind, a place of unshakable peace and strength that no external event, no matter how catastrophic, can ever breach. External things, your wealth, your reputation, your relationships, even your own body, can be taken from you. They are fragile and temporary. But your citadel, your ability to reason, your character, your choice of how to respond, is yours alone. It cannot be touched. The world can lay siege to you, but it can never conquer the fortress inside. Building this citadel is the great work of a man's life. It is the source of true freedom and lasting power. This fortress is not built overnight. It is built brick by brick, with every small choice you make throughout the day. Every time you choose not to get angry in traffic, you lay a brick. Every time you pause before responding to a provocative email, you lay a brick. Every time you face a fear with premeditation instead of avoidance, you lay a brick. Every time you challenge a negative automatic thought and withhold your assent, you lay another brick. Most men are living in flimsy tents, exposed to every passing storm. The Stoic man is a master mason, patiently and deliberately constructing a fortress designed to last a lifetime. He understands that his inner state is his own responsibility, and he takes that responsibility with the utmost seriousness. The strength you seek is not found out there. It is built, brick by brick, in here. The final, crowning principle that locks the entire structure in place is amor fati, a love of one's fate. This is perhaps the most advanced and powerful Stoic concept. It is the practice of not just accepting, but embracing everything that happens in your life, both the good and the bad. It is the understanding that every obstacle, every setback, every moment of pain is an opportunity to practice virtue, to build resilience, to become stronger. The man who practices amor fati does not say, "Why is this happening to me?" He says, "This is happening for me." He sees every event as a necessary part of his path, a training ground for his soul. He finds the good in the bad. He transforms the obstacle into the way. This is the mindset of the truly unbeatable man. How can you defeat someone who loves everything that you throw at him? With this mindset, emotional chaos is no longer a threat. It is transformed into fuel. Frustration becomes fuel for discipline. Fear becomes fuel for courage. Betrayal becomes fuel for self-reliance. When you can look at the worst life has to offer and say, "I love this. This is my curriculum. This is what I need to grow," you have achieved a level of psychological freedom that very few will ever know. The Stoic anchor is complete. It is not just holding you steady in the storm. It is using the energy of the storm itself to make you more powerful. The chaos is no longer something to be endured. It is something to be utilized. This is the ultimate alchemy of the soul, turning pain into power and fate into freedom. This is the end state of our work. Not a man who is numb to the world, but a man who is so engaged with it, so strong, that he can welcome any and all of it. The anchor, then, is not a single object. It is a dynamic process. It is the conscious, deliberate choice to create space between stimulus and response. It is the deep, cellular understanding that nothing external has power over you, unless you give it that power through your own judgment. Your power is not in stopping the storm. That is a fool's errand. Your power is in your unwavering ability to remain anchored within it. Chaos is a constant in this universe. Your stability can be too. Feel that for a moment. That quiet confidence. That is the feeling of true control. Not control over the world, but control over the only thing that truly matters, your own mind. You are the fortress. Thank you for investing this time in forging your inner strength. If this framework resonates with the man you are becoming, subscribe to this channel. We are building a community of men who choose strength over comfort. Now, I have a question for you. What is the first small action you will take this week to start building your Stoic anchor? Share it in the comments below. Let your declaration be the first brick you lay.